So I need to get this tire off because that's not going to be passing any Washington State Patrol inspections. When I first bought the trailer, I was under the impression that I had to take it to the Washington State Patrol for an inspection. And when I called them to ask them what exactly they were looking for, they said they actually wanted a fully functioning trailer and not to bring it until it was all fixed up. I just gave up and I got this instead, a breaker bar. I soon discovered that they don't make this size tire anymore, and I was able to find 2 pairs of replacement tires at used tire stores instead. Right, that puts my Prius in some perspective. I thought this part might be interesting to some of you to see how a tire is put on. If you're not interested in this part, just skip ahead to the wheel bearings. Here he's removing the old valve stem. And installing the new valve stem.
Always at 9 o'clock when I open the business, he's coming here.
And that's just soapy water, or is that grease?
It's soap to release the tire.
Here's how the wheel's balanced. And this says how much weight needs to be added where on the wheel. And there we have 2 of the wheels with secondhand tires on them. Again, thinking that I had to take this to the Washington State Patrol for an inspection soon, my top priority was to make sure that the wheel bearings were in good condition and well greased. So this is how I took them apart to check them. So you can get the dust cap off with a hammer and a flathead screwdriver. Next is the split pin, and you can just use a pair of needle nose pliers to unbend the legs and pull it out. The castle nut, as it's called, should be pretty loose, and you can probably undo it by hand now. There is a washer there, but it's easier to just pull the whole assembly off now. And here are the bearings. So you're supposed to look to see if they're worn down, and this looks pretty good right now, but I don't know if this grease started black, but might as well clean it all up and repack it. Now I'm using a seal puller to remove the inner seal holding the inner bearing in. Maybe I'm missing some technique here, but it wasn't that easy for me to pull it out. Perfect. Alright, there's this old bearing seal popped out. There's the bearing. That one looks really good too. So you're giving these bearings a little wipe down to take a better look. Pretty good. You can see all there's the bearing number. Here's the outer bearing. You can see it's different sizes. And they both look really good to me. So who knows when these were renewed. So I had to go to 4 stores before I found a replacement for this old thing. Even though there are numbers on it, CR's, I guess the manufacturer, and there's a number there. They're required by SKF, another bearing company, and nobody can find a record of it. So the guy at the specialized bearing store just had to measure the inner diameter and the outer diameter, and said that this one should work as the bearing seal. You can see it's quite a bit different. My neighbor, who knows more about mechanical stuff than I do, looked at it and he said it looks great. I guess what you want to do is just check to make sure that these aren't all scored up or damaged anyway, and they all look really good. So I think these were actually replaced at some point. These aren't the original 1949 bearings, and that also explains why. I mean, even before I took this out, it was a bit damaged, and I think they had taken it out, put new bearings in, and then used the same bearing seal again. And you can see I damaged it quite a bit with the bearing puller to get it out. This is the grease that the people at the specialized bearing store recommended, and it's purple. And so I guess you just kind of take some like this and put it in the palm of your hand, and then you can see there's, of course, that whole gap right there. And you just want to work it in like this, and eventually, yeah, see, you see it coming out the top there. So that means it's getting in there. So I think that's considered packed on that side, and you just keep repeating. And they do have specialized little tools to help with bearing packing, but this really isn't that hard. There we go, a packed bearing. So now, put it in there. This goes in small end first. Just goes in there like that. And you can see it's beveled inside there. So yeah, it just goes in there like that, and put some grease around there. And then the bearing seal right after it. And of course, you want to be very careful and just tap around, because right now it's going in a little bit crooked. This side is in a little bit more than this side out here. So I'm just going to very gently tap it, make sure that this isn't dusty. All right, now that feels pretty flush along there. These are the electric brakes. You don't want any grease on that, so clean those off. Actually, going to spray a little bit of brake cleaner onto that. Make sure to cover up the bearing, because we don't want brake cleaner to dissolve the grease or eat that away. Wow, that's so strong. All right, so that's the inner bearing. And here's the outer bearing. I don't know if you can tell that's smaller. Look, it's already coming out there. You can see it's tapered. This side has the larger diameter than that side. And the hole for it is tapered as well. So just put that in there like that. I'm going to try and put this back on. This back bearing is held on by the bearing ring, by the bearing seal, so that won't move around. But the one in front, the front bearing and the outer bearing, I'm holding with my other hand so it doesn't come out. So you want to make sure that's nice and clean. And then try and push it on. So there we go. So again, this little washer has that little keyway. Just line it up there. And that. And then there's this castle nut. So I've heard a couple different ways to do this. Some say you should just keep tightening it until it's pretty snug, like that, and then back it off a quarter turn or so. And then my neighbor said he would turn it a few times. And then he would snug it up again. And then we need to find where this, here we go. Yeah, so I'll back it off until I can get this pin through here. And then you just bend one of the legs of the pin over so that it can't get out. So there we go. So the inner bearings there, the washer, the castle nut, and then this little split pin goes through the shaft there, and you want to make sure bend that other end so that that can't come off. That's it for the wheels for now. I left the wheels off because it's a lot easier to work on the rest of the trailer without them there. Overall, this part of the project cost about $437 and took about 5 hours. In the next video, I hope to show you the restoration of the chassis.